Welcome to the Money Watch Show. It's Thursday, June 6th, and we are here, Mark Talercio and I are here to take the mystery out of your financial life. However, today, Mark, is just an auspicious day, the 80th anniversary of the invasion of D-Day. Now, Mark, have you been to Normandy or not?
Yeah, I was there, maybe 2017, I want to say.
Oh, wasn't it breathtaking to see that?
It's wild. It's hard to believe that it's been 80 years because when you're there and you're walking along the beaches and you see all the German pillboxes and all the craters from the bombs that were dropped, it doesn't seem like it was 80 years ago. It seems like it was like 2 decades ago.
Yes, and it is always coming right after Memorial Day and thinking about all the people who died on those beaches. It's like astounding. I kind of cried my way through the entire tour day, and we had this British man who gave us the tour who had married a French woman and settled in Normandy. So it was a really interesting take on it, and he also brought us to the German cemetery, which doesn't have the names. It just has iron crosses up there. It's a pretty sobering experience. And, I don't know, for anyone who's not been there, it's just such an amazing thing to be able to see this. And the U.S. military keeps up the cemetery and all the historic monuments of the grounds of Normandy.
I believe that is American property. That is our real estate over there.
Yes. It's something. It's really something. So if you're in Paris, hanging out, having fun, take a 2-hour train ride to Normandy. It's amazing and so worth it.
I'm lucky because I got, many years ago, I did Pearl Harbor. So I kind of did the beginning of the war, and then you have Normandy, D-Day towards the end of the war.
I have to be completely transparent and tell you that, of course, I did Pearl Harbor, but I was 10 years old, and I have very little recollection of it. I don't think I understood the meaning of it, except to say that I remember having that morning when we woke up the first morning in Hawaii, we had pineapple juice, and it was fresh pineapple, and that blew my mind. I'd only had like something from a can.
I did it for work. It was I was working in Arizona at the time, and somehow we got assigned to go cover the 62nd anniversary of Pearl Harbor. So
62nd, just an odd number,
right? And so they flew us out there. That was like the only time. Speaking of our recent talks about business class, it was the only time I flew first class. Ernest Borgnine was the keynote speaker. So we were in Ernest Borgnine's hotel room with him, interviewing him. And then we got a private tour from the Park Service all around Pearl Harbor, and they brought us to all the different ships that were there and that are sunk in there. It was incredible.
So you got a serious exposure to that. Yeah. I got to go back. Have you ever been back to Hawaii since?
Been back to Hawaii, but not Pearl Harbor.
Interesting. I haven't been back to Hawaii in a long time.
When I worked in Arizona, I produced a show for this guy. He lived in the Valley in Phoenix, and he's a doctor, and he had a weekend talk show, and I was his producer, and he had a condo in Kona. So basically, once a year, he would say, "Here's the keys. Just get yourself there." So I took
nice.
Yeah.
Look at you. I think Thea would like that. Maybe get back in touch with this guy. All right, let's get on to you. So we would love for you to tell us about your experience either in any national park, any monument, anything that you're doing. We also would love to help you if you're managing some different issues in your financial life, or you've got big questions, or you're concerned, or you just can't quite, get rid of the pit in your stomach that is your fear of the future, whatever it is. Or if you're just happy and just want another set of ears and eyes on a situation, go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and let us know what's going on. If you would like to join us live, check that box. Mark does everything else because he is, as we always like to say, the best executive producer in the world. Okay, today, Mark, we are joined by Seth, who is on the line from Pennsylvania. Hello, Seth. How are you?
Hi, Jill and Mark. I'm doing well. Thanks. How are you guys?
We're doing great. How can we help you out today?
Well, I've listened to the podcast, and I know sometimes you say it's not just about the numbers. And I'm quite sure, I'm about 99% sure that the numbers are okay. I'm just looking for the path moving forward from there, as far as distributions and tax implications and stuff like that. The things that are a little more of the minutia than just the actual, I'm going to stop working.
Okay. So tell us what's going on.
So I'm married. My wife is 59. She won't be 59 and a half until November. I'll be 55 this summer. And 55 was always that dream target date. At that point in time, my youngest graduates high school and she'll be starting in college in the fall. There are two other kids as well. None of them are launched, unfortunately. So we do take care of them still. They still all live at home as of right now. My middle son will be going back to school in the fall as well to finish his degree. And the oldest is, he's going to be sticking around for a while. He's got some things going on in life. So, he's just kind of a homebody right now. So, we will be taking care of him. So there's that.
Okay.
I just don't know what to do beyond it. The healthcare is provided through my employer. So if and when I retire, I'm going to have to go to the marketplace to get the, health insurance. And I've looked at the marketplace and it is not inexpensive. So that's one of my biggest concerns because my wife is disabled and she has a lot of medical issues. So we're comfortable with the plan that I'm on now and I can get it. If I wait until I'm 55, when I retire, one of the benefits is that I can continue with our healthcare plan here. I just pay the full premium cost instead of the discounted price that we get through the employer.
And you mean forever or for Cobra?
No, for as long as, if I've done enough years of service and I stop working or retire at the age of 55, I can continue the retiree.
Okay, that's good. Just to know that you have it.
Yes.
And if you look at the price of that, is it more or less than the marketplace?
It's actually less than the marketplace. I did a little bit of research. When I first looked at what was available from the employer, because my expenses are going to go from the healthcare. I pay about $600 a month. It's going to go to about $2,500 a month for the premium.
Oof.
Yeah, exactly. But online, with some of the plans in our area going through the Pennsylvania site, the least expensive I saw comparable was about $3,500. So it will be more beneficial to do
Seth, I'm not all about the numbers, but I can tell you $2,500 is cheaper than $3,500.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank
I
you
did
very
pass
much.
that math class. So.
Yeah, we got that. So you're going to be 55 and you can retire. And are you definitely going to retire? Are you like, I'm done? Or do you really want to keep? What's your game plan?
I am very, very close to just, to saying at 55. Like I said, 55 was always like a pipe dream. And I'm like, okay, I'm never going to get to that. But I think with everything we've got right now, we can financially swing it. It'd be good for me to be home, spend more time with my wife, just doing the things around the house that I haven't been able to do, over the last numerous years, just trying to get caught up on things. Will I go back to work later on at some point? It's possible. After a couple of years, I might just, find myself wanting to do something and maybe find something part-time or doing volunteering and stuff like that. But for right now, kind of want to get out of the rat race.
Are you entitled to a pension or not?
No pension, unfortunately.
Okay. So we have to get you through, 55 to 67, right? To your Social Security age. And how much money have you saved that makes this so easy for me? Make it easy for me, Seth. I don't care about you. No. So what have you saved that we're going to pull from for these 12 years?
Okay. So currently, my wife has she has two IRAs. Her two IRAs combined is about $2.2 million. I have an IRA. It's worth about $217. I also have my current retirement account, which is $227. My wife also has an inherited IRA and an inherited brokerage account.
Do the IRA first. And when did she inherit that?
Long enough ago that we don't have to do it in 10 years. We can just.
Oh, okay, great. So how much is that?
That's about $225,000.
Okay. And you have a brokerage account. How much is in the brokerage account?
Yeah, the inherited brokerage account is $288.
Okay.
And she and I each also have a brokerage account, totals about another $475.
You got a lot of money. How much you make now?
I'm making about $67 a year before bonuses. Bonuses, it could be like another $5,000 or $6,000.
How'd your wife get $2.2 million?
He is part owner of the family business, and they had a pension profit sharing plan rather than a standard 401k, so they were able to put in large quantities of money. As she was going, she worked there for close to 30 years.
Holy smokes!
Yeah, and when she became disabled, that's when she retired.
Is she on SSDI?
Yes, she is. Yeah.
How much is that?
That's about $39,000 a year.
Okay. What will your Social Security benefit be at your age 67?
If I retire at 55, at 67, it's only about 1,800, and at 70, it'd be about 2,000.
What about safe money? I mean, we've got a ton of money in these various assets, right?
Yep.
And a lot of it I presume, all of these IRAs, inherited Roth IRAs, 401, this is all pre-tax money. Is that right?
Yeah, it's all pre-tax. I didn't have the opportunity to go to Roth until like the last year or two with my employer. And we've always made too much, I've never bothered with the back door, the Roth IRA. We've got, on top of those investments and stuff, we do have approximately another 185,000 in cash. In both CDs and just high yield savings accounts.
Safe money, right? Okay.
Yes.
And what about your home? How much is your house worth?
Home's probably, I would say, Jill, about 375,000.
Do you have a mortgage that's still outstanding?
No, it is completely paid off. No debt whatsoever.
How are you paying? You said you have a kid who's going back to school, right? Who's so finishing up senior year. How much is this just out of your cash flow? You're paying for, is there a 529 account? What's going on for that?
Still has money remaining in his 529 to pay for this last year. He only needs like 3 courses to complete it, Jill. So it's not like it won't even use all of the money that's in his, in the 529 to fund that.
And what about the high school senior, the one who's the ascending freshman in college?
I've got just under 100,000 saved for her, and she is going to a state school, so that should pretty much cover all our bases.
Oh, great. So you'll use whatever is the unused from your son's plan, you can use for your daughter's plan, plus the 100,000. That should get you where you need to go, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. So we know, I'm just pretending so this summer you're done. And then all of a sudden we know that you have $2,500 a month of health care. Tell us how much more money you guys need to live on to support yourselves, and not just support yourself, but live. You know what I mean? Like, to be comfortable.
Our expenses now, I'm being generous. I estimated that probably about 12,000 right now is what we do. But I'm figuring we'll need about 15.
Okay.
Just to cover with the added expenses of the healthcare. Okay.
And is there any other money coming out of your wife's family's business that we should count on or not count on?
She still gets paid with distributions and dividends through the family business.
How much?
Base is approximately 130,000 a year.
Holy smokes. Okay, so there's 130 grand from the family business. There's 39,000 in SSDI. There's no other income, right, at this point?
No, just, dividends and capital
gains. Yeah. On the brokerage account.
And that's one of the things I'd always thought of doing. That's one of the reasons I built my brokerage account is a little bit heavy on the dividend stocks, for the reason that I would just stop my reinvestment and take that cash out to help pay for some of the expenses as well.
Right. I know this is always a very sticky question to ask, but I'm going to just ask it. Your wife's disability, is this the type of disability that really does change her life expectancy?
More than likely, yes.
Oh, yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. Well, she has a history of Alzheimer's in her family as well, and she did suffer 2 strokes. So we're.
Oh my God! I'm so sorry.
Thanks.
Oh my God.
To have her around, she's able to do the basic things she needs to take care of herself, but she's limited tremendously after that.
I want to say that I totally get the 55 thing. Now you're telling us this whole story. We've got the oldest child with some issues. Still have kids. You have a wife who needs care, obviously. Is she fine in the home? Like, if you're not at home, do we need to think about care for her going forward, or not really?
Right now, no. She is self-sufficient. She gets around. She's got our fur babies to keep her company, Jill.
That's good. That's a good thing to have. And is there anything else that we should know about before we start spitballing other ideas for you?
I don't think so. I mean, just, the fact that, the distribution and stuff that my wife gets isn't, 130 is the minimum. It tends to be higher than that depending on how the business does in the course of a year. I'm just pegging it at 130 because that's a known factor.
Well, I mean, look, first of all, this is a very smart decision on your part. That's my number one thing is, when we interviewed a retirement expert, Teresa Ghilarducci, she did talk a lot about how there are people in their 50s who were retiring early, not because they wanted to, because they felt like they needed to or they had to. And one of the issues is a spouse who needs help. or a parent who needs help. And so I think this is, a really more and more common that we are hearing about. The good news for you is you got a bunch of money. I would say, though, I'm drawing a line as I look at your assets, right? We've got your wife's money and the inherited IRA, the 401k and the IRA. I think instead of doing conversions on this money, I do think it might be well worth your time and energy to really concentrate on getting some of the money out of these accounts. Okay. And the reason I'm saying that is not because your tax bracket's so low, because you're going to stay in a high tax bracket as long as your wife continues to get these dividends. Very blunt question. If your wife predeceases you, what happens to the distribution and the dividends? Does it skip to your kids?
There are two companies. The first one, the other partners, her siblings, have right of first refusal to purchase her share of the one business. The other would just be sold, and we would receive her portion of the proceeds.
Okay, which would be a chunk of money.
Yeah.
Okay. So the way I am thinking about this is that because your tax bracket is still going to be 22, 24% for kind of a while, I would start taking money out of the retirement accounts and start whittling some of this down. Now your wife is older than you are. So I might concentrate on her assets first. So maybe the first thing we do is we take the 401k that she has and start pulling out 100 something thousand. The 24% tax bracket goes up to 383,000. So I would take up to that amount, pay the tax that's due, and add it to your CD savings, et cetera. Just kind of keep it in the kitty or reinvest it in the brokerage account. Either way, it does, depending on what your cash needs are. And I'd start to get rid of those accounts. We have a big required minimum distribution problem that's brewing. He's only 55. And by the time he gets to 75, this money, whether your wife is here or not, there is going to be a lot of money that has not yet been taxed. The thing is, you can't pull that much out without going into your next tax bracket. So if you want to stay in the 24%, if you make a little list and you said, okay, well, let's take 100. I'm going to make this up, not this year because, you have some money. Maybe it's next year, but you'll have your income will go down this year. And depending on what's happening with the dividends and distributions on the year, maybe you're like, you know what? We'll go as our total income. We want to make sure we have 380 grand coming in. Okay. And you pull out at the end of the year, you say, okay, it's my 401k time. And I know what my income is going to be from the distribution and the dividends from the business. We have her SSDI. We know what my income has been so far this year. Now let's pull out whatever is the difference and make that up to 383,000. Okay. So you do that and you do that this year. You do that next, do it every single year until you're claiming your Social Security benefit. That's what I would do. And then I would think about it kind of depends on what happens with, the kids and whether I'm a little bit worried about do we need some of this brokerage money to pay for your wife's care or for a kid thing? Or I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud that I'm a little bit reluctant to start doing big conversions that would pop you into another tax bracket and also that would soak up that liquidity right now. But you're in great shape financially. You really are. And I think that amazingly, when you said, as we were working down through all these numbers, and then I was like 15 grand a month is a lot. But now with the distribution and the dividends from the company, it seems to me that if you had, all you really need is another, I don't know, $50 to $100,000 a year anyway, and you pay your tax that's due on it, and now you've got the money you need to live on and pay your bills for your health care and take care of everyone. It's a lot, Seth. It's a lot. So I know that you have a lot on your hands. Are you doing this yourself? Are you managing the brokerage accounts and the IRAs?
Yeah, we do have two accounts that we have invested that's being managed. That's the smaller amount. That's the 770,000, give or take. That's one of my old IRAs and my wife's old IRA as well. So, but the rest of it is I'm just, luckily her main, remainders of her 401k are still with the business because we didn't have to withdraw it.
I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. And the other question I have for you is, do you have any estate document issues that have not yet been ironed out because of your wife's condition? I just want to make sure that you have what is up to date, especially because your kids are at those weird ages where, they're old enough to get a big slug of money. Is that okay? And how have you dealt with that?
So we currently have a living revocable trust. We'll probably go back and just update that now that the youngest just turned 18 this year.
Mm-hmm.
Have it kind of broken up so that they wouldn't get it all at one giant chunk.
Yeah, I think that's probably smart.
I mean, they were very responsible, but it's still that's a lot of responsibility to take on top of everything else sometimes.
It sure is. It sure is. What other questions do you have for us? I think you're in really good financial shape. I do. What else can we do for you?
Like I said, I was pretty sure I was worried about, the health insurance and also, long-term care. I'm pretty sure we can just self-fund for long-term care.
Totally. Absolutely. Don't let anyone sell you anything.
No one's selling me anything. I'm I have a rule about that. The word annuity comes out and I just walk away. So
it's like kryptonite.
Yeah. No, I think that's it, Jill. Like I said, I know the numbers are right. I know I can do it. It's just it's a wrestling contest with myself about whether I should do it, whether I should pull the trigger and just take the leap. I'm perfectly healthy. Like I said, I can always go back to work after a couple of years if I need to, or find something part-time. Sometimes we will be, downsizing the house because we have to get something that's just a single level instead of 2 levels like it is now in the future.
Yeah. I mean, look, those are the kinds of things that I would be clearly focused on in terms of keeping some liquidity,
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's the kind of thing where I'm like, yeah, I got to keep an eye on that. Right. And you're going to be in really, really great shape financially. I do think that you have to give yourself permission to do this. You're not going to need to go back to work for money. You may want to go back for your sanity. And I think that all of this is to say that you and your wife have been fortunate that, you have a family business that has spun out this kind of income and you've worked hard and you got a lot to juggle. So I say get going, be done. Don't worry about the health insurance. You got plenty of money. Try to get some of the money out of the retirement account, the pre-tax money out, pay the tax that's due. And we'll keep an eye also, I think, in the coming years as tax rates start to shift, because remember that all the tax rates on the individual side are scheduled to go back up or change back to where they were in the year 2026. We're not sure that's going to happen or not, but I'm just saying I would keep an eye on that just for yourself before I started, really moving forward and doing any sort of conversions. And if in a year where, let's just say that, the company is sold and you get a slug of money, your wife's alive, just like they sell it. And in that case, or someone in the family says, we're buying you out, we're done. You take the money and then maybe your income goes down and maybe that's a year where you even take more money out of retirement. So it's something to think about, but you're doing a great job. It sounds like you're making a decision that's really the best decision for you and your family. And we wish you the best of luck because this is hard stuff, man. This is hard for sure.
Thank you, Jill. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for getting in touch with us, Seth. And if you, like Seth, have like a life-altering event that is staring you in the face, or you're worried about something, or you're feeling good about something, maybe we'll just suck all the wind out of your sails and tell you shouldn't feel as good as you feel. No, I'm just kidding. Sometimes I can be a dream crusher, but often not. If you've got a question, just go to our website, jillonmoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and write us a note. And if you'd like to join us on the air, just check that box and we will do everything else. Don't forget to sign up for the free weekly newsletter. And you can check out our YouTube show. It's called Jill on Money, powered by The Compound. Mark Talercio is the co-host, executive producer, and king of all things web of this program. We are distributed by Paramount Global. We drop our episodes every Tuesday and Thursday. We ask that you do something nice for someone else today. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.